Nation of Fit and 10, welcome to day 29, and we are officially 4 weeks through the challenge. 4 weeks in. I've said this so many times and so many different challenges, but it goes by super fast, right? This challenge goes by incredibly fast. Here we are into the 5th week. I mean, we're almost halfway through, which is kind of crazy, right? All right. More questions, so let's get into it. Excuse me. I have a question about cardio. You specifically state the intervals 20 on and 40 off, then repeat. Am I still considered compliant if my intervals are longer and farther apart? Is having all the quote hard work happen within 10 minutes important for success? Okay, so just a little bit of background here. If anybody's not in this challenge watching this video, I have the participants follow a certain standard of cardio. So this is what we're addressing here in this video. So I just want to say that it depends on what you're choosing to do, but I will tell you, try to stick to what I've given you, because I mean, we can look at this as, okay, let's say we're just burning the same amount of calories in the same amount of time, for a given amount of exercise that we're doing, and maybe that's what we think, or maybe that's what you think matters. But ultimately, we want a certain level of intensity to create a metabolic response. Okay, so that's maybe some level of fancy wording to say that we're going to create a greater response after the training. So it's not just in the moment of burning those calories, but what happens afterwards. So it would really depend on what you're doing. So I would just suggest to you to try to stick to what I've given you. Now, if you find it so dreading that you may not do it because it's that much harder, then I would say do what is that you want to do. So if you want to do the intervals farther apart, doing something is going to be better than doing nothing. And again, I don't know exactly what you're doing or what you have in mind, but certainly spreading out those intervals away from each other will reduce the overall intensity. So
absolutely.
Yeah. You want to add something to that?
No, it's just a different form of exercise. It's almost like saying, hey, Mark, can I walk for an hour and that's considered 10 minutes of hard cardio? The answer is not really. It's not the same, you're not asking for the same results, that's for sure.
Yeah, so do your best to try to stick to, what we give you. And like I mentioned, if you can't, if it's just too much for you, then,
do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do, yes. Okay, but if you want to run by me exactly what you're doing, we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
All right, so more questions here. Okay, so this person writes, saying no on the weekends, especially with my partner. I realize that we often share plates and snack on each other's meals, particularly when we are out with friends and socializing. Short of just avoiding people, I need ideas on things I can do with others that, done simply, include eating and
drinking. Yes, I'm lame.
Okay, yes, I'm lame.
That's so cute.
All right.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, we've been through this. It's not an easy one, but I have to tell you, when you're on the other side, you really realize how much, time, money, and how much of your health goes into, spending all those nights drinking and eating foods that are not good for you, basically. It's, I spend a lot of time now with my friends at the gym. I invite them to share my workouts. I invite them to go for walks, hikes. We do incredible things together. It's like we go to the park with the kids. There's all sorts of things. Everything and anything that is involves a certain amount of motion for me is how I'm going to meet all my friends. And we've been doing it for a long time. We can go bowling. We can do all sorts of things, but we put food aside for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit more
conservative.
So, ultimately, what I want to say here, and I'm certainly not saying that you shouldn't go out with your friends by any means, but what you may want to do is, if you can, try to, because it sounds to me like maybe your social circle is not conducive with some of your goals. And so there's kind of a battle between those two things right now. So my suggestion would be to, if you can, maybe surround yourself with people that have similar goals to you, at least sometimes. And that will help you to, take yourself a little bit further in the direction that you want to go. Ultimately, who we surround ourselves with is at least partially what's going to make our reality. So it's maybe not something that we all want to hear, but if you can find people that are sort of on the same track as you, this is going to help you tremendously. Because ultimately, again, if you're trying to get out of something, or you're trying to set some new habits in your life, and you're surrounding yourself with people that are trying to pull you back into that. They're not trying to pull you back in, but you understand what I'm saying here. If it's influencing you in the opposite direction, then to some degree we need to at least reduce this.
And to talk about, when you go out, for me, I don't like to share, so I don't have sharing issues. But, there are ways to go out and then keep it healthy. Like I can spot in most restaurants good sources of protein, lean protein, vegetables, and carbohydrates that I can control. And I just, refrain from picking on anything that I'm not supposed to have. I usually check the restaurants online. They often have not only the ingredient list to their foods, but also the nutrition panels. So I can pre-enter some of the information on my food log right before time. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going out to eat and you know where you're going, and you've got access to an online menu, this is a great way to go and then pre-plan what you're going to eat. But as I've said before, and as it says in our manual,
don't eat out.
No, it doesn't say don't eat out, but it kind of says that. Yes. It just kind of says that. But ultimately, if you are going to eat out, try to eat basic. Okay, so just pick those foods that are basic. I realize that they may not be as tasty or as, quote, fun.
They're really tasty. I think that all food that is not made by me at a restaurant, even when it's clean foods, are delicious.
Yeah, going to the keg and having a steak is
such a
for
treat.
Me, it's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
And a baked potato and vegetables and everything.
Yep.
And salads with the dressing on the side. And we can go through this in another part, but yeah.
You can have a baked potato with some cream cheese on there, with a little bit of shredded cheese or whatever, or even a little bit of real butter. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So, but yeah, especially when it comes to drinking.
Nah.
No, sorry. That's completely off limits. So, next. All right. Do you want to read this next question?
I can't see.
All right, I'll read it. Order of eating your macros. Yes, eat all the things, but I have seen videos on eating different orders of your macros so that you have the best digestion and sustained energy. Does it truly make that much of a difference? Is there a time period you have to follow? Is there a time period you have to be following this strategy to see a difference? So I don't know. I have an opinion on this, but
I do too. I think it's very minimal. In the grand scheme of all the things that we're asking you to go through, I think that eating your beef before you eat your vegetables is like the bottom of my list. What about you?
It's going to make some difference for sure. So I always say eat at least some protein in the beginning. Certainly don't eat your carbohydrate source unless it's post-exercise. Don't eat your carb sources and then eat your protein sources. If you eat, let's say, a baked potato and then you go to your steak,
really,
it's probably not going to make that much of a difference.
Thank you.
But if you're talking about, I'm going to eat this carbohydrate source and then maybe I'm going to wait half an hour and eat this.
Oh, now that's different.
So that's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But certainly it will make some difference. It will make some difference because, again, using the analogy or using the example of a potato, you're going to change the rate at which that potato digests. You're going to change the rate at which that sugar, at which the potato digests into sugar and enters your bloodstream. That's going to change if you start to eat it with protein, okay, or vegetables for that matter.
Yep.
You're going to definitely change the glycemic index, and that can have some effect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So try to at least get some protein in, at least at the beginning, or at least have it with your meal as you're eating, so you're getting some carbohydrates, some protein.
I mean, this would make more sense, I think, when I say this way, if you don't have a specific calculation about what you're eating. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm going to just like help myself to a bunch of things. Am I going to have, if I have, half a pound or a pound of mashed potatoes, I'm not likely to eat, my 5 to 7 ounces of chicken after. So then that makes sense. But if everything is already in your plate, and you have 3 ounces or 4 ounces of mashed potato and 5 ounces of meat and you have your vegetables, then the order to which you're like starting or finishing that meal, I don't think makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So, take it for what it is, but try to get a mixture of your sources. Absolutely. And certainly, if you choose to eat, something like purely a carbohydrate source in the beginning, don't wait too long before you start eating your source of protein.
Indeed.
And never eat because I've seen this before, never eat pure carb meals. Even if you can fit it in your macros, do not do that. Do not do that. All right, let's get to the message of the day, which I think you're going to read for us, aren't you?
Right. So the difference between who you are and who you want to be lies in what you do.
What you do, absolutely. It's just a simple way of saying everything matters, right? Everything matters. So don't ever think that it doesn't matter. Don't ever think you can just eat this and it won't make a difference. Or don't ever think that you can,
get away with this or that.
Yeah, everything makes a difference. And nothing that on the flip side, nothing that you do is in vain, right? So it's not like you're going to be working and making all these changes and seeing no change. No, that's not going to happen either.
Yeah.
So, you get what you put in, essentially. You get what you put in, okay? The difference between
who you are and who you want to be lies in what you do.
That's right. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself for the love of God. Give some gratitude, and we'll talk to you again soon.